It made me laugh multiple times.
That's really interesting because me and you are going to differ here because I gave...
Oh, shit, dude.
We're a unit.
Hello, and welcome back to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where three friends break down the 1999 animated series, Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I'm obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
And my name's Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies Season 2, Episode 3, titled Hiatus. Original air date January 20th, 2002 on Adult Swim. Written by Brendan Small and Bill Broaddus, and cast directed by Lauren Bouchard. This is what I wanted to bring up. One of the things I wanted to bring up last episode, I forgot. As of Season 2, these episodes are now produced by Melissa Barton-Galsky.
Hell yeah.
Melissa, who plays Melissa, is now producing these episodes.
Queen.
She's now a producer.
The synopsis for this episode: while on hiatus, Brendan falls for an older girl. Meanwhile, McGurk tries to plan a trip to Cancun with Mr. Lynch.
I didn't realize she was older. I thought they were the same age.
Same.
The vibe that I picked up was maybe like a year older.
Oh.
Just because she doesn't seem to be in like any of his classes or anything
That's
like
true.
that.
That's fair.
So
Okay.
that was just the vibe I got.
Meanwhile, Paula gets fired.
Yeah, I was thinking about adding like a third line, something about Paula. And then another thing I did forget to mention at the end of the last episode, in the audio commentary, at the very end, they're watching the credits and they see Chris Georginas' name and they're like, we haven't talked about how great Chris is. They're like, oh my gosh.
Really?
They're like, you can tell when Chris came on because the sound got better. And they spoke so highly of him. I'm like, yeah, I just talked to that.
Hell yeah. Shout out Chris.
Hell yeah, dude. We're like best friends or whatever.
Facebook friends.
I mean, we talked about it on the season 1 recap, but like that was just a really good interview. Like he put out some really great points and said some really great things that I think a lot of artists need to hear about just how doing things just to do it and getting better is so good. Like I really like Chris.
Yeah.
Just based vibe alone, super cool
Right.
dude.
What a great guy to just take time out of his day to have an interview on some random podcast that 200 people listen to, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love all 200 of you.
But before we jump into this episode, we're going to jump into a little thing called the Creative Corner. Of course, the Creative Corner, something we're consuming, producing, anything creative we want to put out in the spotlight. And of course, we have our special musical guest.
I love specials.
Take it away, Bobby!
Bobby!
Creative Corner, doodly-doo.
You got to redeem yourself today, Bob.
Yeah, he was kind of a dick last episode.
Yeah, for real.
All right, who wants to go first for this Creative Corner?
I will go for the Creative Corner. I have props.
Really?
So a couple years ago, before the pandemic hit, I went to the Ren Fair. I met someone there who, his name is Tony Brandel, and he had all of these different types of blocks with a bunch of art made on it. I stopped, and I loved all the art that he had, and I wanted to talk to him about all of the art that he had on there on all these blocks, what they represent, everything. And it's this thing called the Rabbit Hero, and the Rabbit Hero is this character that he created, and it's sort of like jumps through different dimensions, jumps to different characters, and just has stories throughout time. And I bought a bunch of them back then, but I recently just went back to the Ren Fair and I found him. Like, he was in a different spot.
Is that Mothman?
That's a Mothman.
That's
It
dope,
is Mothman.
dude.
I had to get the Mothman right there. And each one, he hand prints and hand glues like these little flowers on there. He has so many of them. I am so upset because I had like 8 or 10 before I had to move, and they all just got lost in the move, and I miss all of them. I loved all of them, too.
But you saved Mothman.
No, I didn't. I bought that one recently.
Oh, shit.
Because I found him at Ren Fair. He moved from a different spot at the Ren Fair. I found him. He had his own booth, and I was so happy to see him. And not only that, when he talked to me in 2019, he was talking about he was doing a book and it wasn't out yet. I hadn't seen him since. The pandemic happened and I was just locked inside. And when I finally went back to the booth, the Rabbit Hero book is here. Book 1. And it's not just like a regular graphic novel or anything. Like there's like pictures and everything, but it's a book of poems that tell stories.
That's dope.
Different types of poetry. And I wish he was here to like talk about it because he talks about it so well. He's such a nice guy, so well. He just has this way of speaking about this world that makes you really want to be invested into it. And I'll read the back right here. Look up more, open every door, manifest in small places, keep pace and imagine. Live honest, injure none, give everyone else her due, seek no self, your life is now, travel light, boldness.
Oh, snaps for this man.
Exactly. And he signed it, and I was so happy that I got to see him again because I love creativity, I love artists, I love supporting them, and I had this Mothman block because he has an Etsy page. We'll put it in the show notes. But I had this Mothman block when it came out like 3-4 years ago, and I never pulled the trigger on it because I wanted to like go in person and meet him and buy it from him. And which he told me, thank God you did, because Etsy sales, they take a big cut out from the artist.
Really?
Yeah, Etsy's bad, Amazon's bad. Who would have thought? Corporation's bad? Who knows?
Yeah, shocker.
One little tiny note I wanted to bring up is I haven't read it completely yet. I got it the first day, and because I have ADHD, I came home and I lost it. And I found it the other day. It was actually supposed to be in Creative Corner like 4 weeks ago. But I found it because we were like cleaning up. And when I first found it the first day, I just opened to the first page, and it says once. Not so long ago.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. That just gave me chills.
I know. That's exactly how I felt when I opened it. For everyone who doesn't know, Not So Long Ago is the theme to Puzzle Valley. Every Puzzle Valley season has the theme song, and Not So Long Ago means a lot to me.
I fucking love that song so much.
Oh, I
so
appreciate
good.
that so much. I love the soundtrack. We got some bangers for the second season. I cannot wait to show you guys. But
I'm so happy.
yeah, I am so happy that just the art of this book is just so beautiful and
Yeah.
it's so good.
What a fucking great creative corner, man.
Yeah. I guess we're not even going to go. It's just
Yeah, I kind
he
of feel dumb
outcreated
about
us.
mine now.
I didn't want to ask to go last. Again, just look him up, Tony Brandel. Like, he's got a website called therabbithero.com, and he makes so much art. It's not just like Mothman. There's so much of it that I think they all represent a different thing, and they all like have stories attached to it. And the Rabbit Hero travels and meets each and every one of them.
Damn, dude.
So it's really cool.
If you don't mind me asking, how much was the little block?
They come in different sizes, and they sometimes they come in multiple because there's like pairs and stuff like that. They have to go together, but it depends on the size. This one was like $15.
Oh
not
God,
bad.
I was like $30 seems reasonable for something like that.
They have big ones that are like $30, and like again, just a super down to earth. I ended up talking to him again for like 30 minutes when I found him again. I was like, "Hi, you're here!" I was so happy. Like Nick gave me an allowance because it was for my birthday, so they were gonna spend like $30 on me for whatever. And they do you want these wings? I was like, no, because I wanted to see. I was like looking for him the whole day, and it was
So, this was the second time you met him?
second or third time.
Yeah. Did he remember you?
No, I was not dressed as my, but I did say I met you a while ago, and I was just so happy to meet him again. Super duper kind dude, and again, he just makes you really want to be invested in the world, and I love this story. I love this guy. Just go ahead. Try and look up his stuff and see if you like any of the things, because I'll show you some art. There's definitely some stuff you guys would both really like.
I love that he puts his art on those little blocks. That's really cool. It's different.
It is. I had these like all over my wall when I was living a couple of years ago. So
I think I'm gonna steal an idea from my sister Amy, who has her own place, who has a wall specifically dedicated to local artists and smaller artists and stuff like that.
I didn't know she had that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really dope.
Yeah.
It's something that she started at the last place that she was in, and then she moved and she kept it alive. And I was just thinking about that the other day. We've had a little mantra in this house lately, and that's that this house supports local artists.
Oh, yeah.
This house supports artists in general.
Yeah. Local artists, local business, small business.
Yeah. We love them. Love them.
That's the only way that things are going to change, is if we put the money and the power in the hands of people we actually want them to have it.
We support the everyman in this house.
Hey, don't save a couple bucks because it's cheaper to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
It's not.
Walmart, no, I'm not going to go on a tangent. I'm just going to say this, is a fucking hellscape. I can't stand Walmart.
Oh,
It gives me anxiety to like the highest degree.
Yeah, it ruins our lives, but That's for a different
That-
story.
Oh, yeah.
Is a phenomenal creative corner. Would you like to go next, or would you like me?
I think you should follow that up.
Oh, great.
You were trying to pass it off on me.
I genuinely asked, and I will go next. So here I go. And
Okay.
And I feel bad because mine is kind of, I'm like, damn shit, dude, mine sucks now. Mine is actually a purchase that I've made. I have to tell everyone, basically, I'm like, do you know what a Steam Deck is? And a Steam Deck is a handheld, basically a handheld gaming PC. I got the equivalent to a Steam Deck, but it's called an ROG Ally. There's a few different models. I don't recall which one I have, but it is a handheld gaming PC. When I read reviews online, a lot of people were like, this thing sucks. It runs Windows 11. And I was like, oh, as a pirate and someone who mods a lot of games, I love the fact that it runs Windows 11.
Yep.
So this is a handheld gaming PC for me. It gets me out of the habit of being like, okay, babe, I'm going to go game. I'll be in this other room for 3 hours. See you later, maybe. And it gives me the ability to just kind of play it anywhere. And what I like about it too is when I have little breaks from either editing or getting episodes ready or doing whatever, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, I can pick it up and throw a game on there and just play it for a little bit. I got about 20, 30 games on there. Literally every game I've ever mentioned as a creative corner. So that's Fallout 76, Pal World, who's currently getting sued by Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. Terrible. Oh, I could get into that real quick.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Trying to patent mechanics in video games, which is evil.
Wow.
Sorry.
That is evil. And No Man's Sky. I have all those games on there, play it a lot. It's really dope. I love it. It's very convenient. And it's got a USB-C port, which means you can get like a hub that has an HDMI out. So I've seen a lot of people just use it basically as like a computer where they plug a mouse, a keyboard, they plug it out to a monitor, and they just use that to game. I've connected controllers to it and just kind of set it up and play games. And yeah, it's a blast. So the ROG Ally, I think I have like the X1 Extreme. I don't know. There's a few different ones, but
How much was it?
I picked it up secondhand from my technically kind of brother-in-law,
Ex-brother-in-law.
ex-brother-in-law, still bro.
X gonna give it to you.
Yes. He actually, so it was really funny. He sold me his for $300, which a used one, yeah, you're probably looking at like $400. So he gave me a little bit of a deal. And honestly, he only used it to play Baldur's Gate 3. That was the only thing he did with it, right? So I was talking to my sister about it, and I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm buying his Ally. And we like had a conversation like, oh shit, did he like quit playing video games? Is he like tired of Baldur's Gate? Like what's, like we were kind of like worried. So when we finally saw him next, I was like, hey, why are you selling that? He's like, oh dude, I bought the newest one. I upgraded. I just don't need this one anymore. And we're like, oh, cool.
Trickle down economics.
He's got that disposable income.
I've heard rumors, but
Do like income.
that is my creative corner for this week.
Nice. That was a good one.
I mean, comparatively speaking. it
I'm
was
sorry.
okay. No, it's okay.
My creative corner is also video game related. So, not so long ago, the friend group got together for a ramen night.
Hell yeah.
And during this ramen night, good friend of the pod, Eddie, passionately convinced me to play Night in the Woods. And holy shit, it's so good. I'm not going to give anything away because Tim has started to play it. Marcin will one day play it, I'm sure, as the fear in his eyes glaze over. But it's a very cute game. It looks very like simple and indie, and as time goes on while you play it, it starts to get a little darker and a little more existential. And that's my bread and butter. And I love having mental breakdowns over things that are not my day-to-day life. So I definitely suggest that. The music is great. The overall just beautiful graphics. The storyline will cut you right in the gut. And that's mine.
Nice.
I wanted to just say, because Night in the Woods has Eddie. That is my blood brother. I love him so much. He encouraged me to play Life is Strange, and he encouraged me to play it alone. So because you want to enjoy it, you want to like sit with it, and not just like
that's a good one.
Put on the emotions onto someone else. And with Night in the Woods, Eddie told me that was his favorite game. He even has a poster of it in his room.
Dang.
Yeah, he loves that game, and he's been telling me for years to play that game. But the thing is, it is my most real fear of what the game represents, which is it's just this existentialism and like growing up and like coming of age and all of that. And so I've been so scared to play it because I know it's going to break my heart. I know it is. And that's something I don't know if I'm ready for it. And I even was talking to Eddie about it the other day because you started playing it and Ed was like, yeah, Adele started playing it and you got to start playing it. I'm like, I know, but it's like, it's going to hurt me. And he's like, there's never a right time.
No, life is going to hurt regardless.
I know.
Might as well be over a video game.
It's true. It hurts so good. It's so... I will play it. I do plan on playing it sooner rather than later. I'll say that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'll take that.
Okay, we're going to get this episode started. This episode doesn't have an A plot and a B plot. It also has a C plot.
Mm-hmm.
The last episode did too.
Yeah.
And all of those plots in this particular episode have a theme of hiatus. Brendan and all them taking a break from making movies, Coach McGurk wanting to go on a little bit of a vacation, and Paulo with a little bit of a
Forced hiatus.
Severance.
We are going to get into all that. But I'm just going to say up top, God, I fucking love this episode
It's
so
a
much,
really
man.
good one.
I don't want to ask you straight up at the top of the episode, but I will ask you at the end. I think your grade, perhaps. But it was a really good episode.
The flow was... I feel like I bring up the flow. The flow of the episodes just get better and better in my opinion.
They do. And it matters, too. It's not so jarring. And they just, like, you don't, like, expect... I have a hard time keeping up with the notes now because, like, it's so...
It's very fast.
It's very fast.
And it's you blink and you miss it, so many things, because the animation, the background, everything is just getting so much better.
Yeah.
I'm starting to really lean towards I should probably watch the episodes before we come here and rewatch them here and just enjoy them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying doing that, but I also enjoy seeing your genuine reaction.
Yeah, we'll talk about my genuine reaction.
Yeah, and I wish we had the time to like do just like a watch that you can just sit and enjoy it and watch it, and then a second watch where we're actually taking notes and stuff. But man, we would be here for hours if we did that.
I wish there was just like a little camera on the floor just pointed at Marcin
I wish it was
to
on the...
capture his reactions to things because it's great.
Specifically on the floor. Things got thrown.
I'd like the camera on the ceiling so it doesn't like come up at my double chin.
Nope.
That's fair.
Too bad. All right, another thing, we'll get into it, but probably going to be one of the quickest. Let's jump to the clip in episode history. So let's go. This episode opens. We're already inside of a movie.
Yeah.
So, holy convoluted plot. So it appears Brendan and Melissa's character are going over paperwork. Brendan thanks her for representing him on this case. She says, "You're welcome, even though I don't like you at all." And Brendan comments, "Okay, well, that's going to make this case for our divorce. It's not going to make it any easier." And that's when Melissa agrees and says, "And as your attorney, I would advise that I don't represent you, considering I'm the one you're getting a divorce from." Wow.
It was all over where it jumped at me as like 90s plot to a film. Like
right, like a goofy, like, "And now you're my lawyer for our divorce." But also a little bit of subconscious bleeding into his movies.
Yep, I wrote that down. I was like, I was wondering if this was going to come up in the episode. Because Adele and Tim both kind of told me a little bit that this episode was really good, and I was like, oh, finally, the payoff, it's coming. And nope. But the episode's really good.
Yeah.
That's why I do agree with your, like, you should watch the episodes before by yourself, but I want us to get past a certain point with the episodes until I'm like, all right, go.
That's exactly why I'm not doing it yet. I'm also very glad I watched this episode with you guys here.
Yeah. So Brendan comments that fate is a cruel snake with bitter herbs and spices. Okay.
Fate is a cruel snake.
With bitter herbs and spices.
Why a snake?
Correct.
Bitter herbs. It's gibberish, but...
Yes. I think herbs and spices is maybe he got that from KFC.
Yeah. I think it's just an 8-year-old trying to sound philosophical.
Right.
Word salad. I've been there.
Well, it's at this point Jason's character enters the scene. They mention in commentary, he got a little bit of a Ron Jeremy look about him.
That's who he reminded me of.
I was thinking... well, he also looks like that one character from Dragon Ball Z. Anyone in the house?
Nope.
No one?
Nothing.
Nerd.
You're not wrong.
That's okay. We all are.
Well, that's when his character, looking like Ron Jeremy, shows up and says, hey, I hear she's single.
Does mommy like what she sees?
Well, first he says, I'm rich. And she's like, ooh, you're a millionaire? And he's like, well, no, my name's Richard.
And then,
But then, does mommy like what she sees? And she says, yes, I do believe she does.
They flirting.
Interesting.
They may not be friends, but they are.
Lovers.
Well, that's when Brendan jumps up and says, that's enough. Tells him, step into my office. They bust out the swords immediately.
I love the sword scene.
The sword fight is so funny because it's like, does my butt look big in this?
Can you make change for this?
Yeah. Take one of these and two of these.
The blue sword, I could not get it out of my head, but it just looked like the Minecraft sword for me.
That's fair. The diamond sword, yep.
Eventually, both their swords break. Brendan comments, okay, we'll have to complete this fight without weapons. And Jason asks if he means a battle of wits, and Brendan says, close. A fight with jazz.
Hell yeah, dude.
To which Jason replies, bring it on, Daddy-O.
That transition.
Oh, this is horrible.
I think it's alternative.
Yeah, it's an alternative to good.
I must say, I strongly disagree.
Same.
I loved the jazz. I loved the sword fight. I loved the Melissa and Jason weird flirting.
And if you look at it, too, from a production standpoint, I mean, obviously, we're speaking to the fact that this show has evolved as far as, like, their animation skills and everything like that. But the choreography in that movie was phenomenal.
Dude.
That jazz scene, the fight scene, everything. They mentioned in commentary that one of the things they love about this show is how often Brendan, Jason, and Melissa will comment about how bad something is when it's genuinely the best thing they've ever made ever.
It was
Agreed.
so good. I loved the animation in the jazz specifically, like when Brendan throws his head back and you just see like his nose just erect. It's so good.
The dancing, the jiggly arms.
How smoothly how he's moving, and he was like, ow! That was
when
so
Jason's
good.
like, and it's just like scrolling back and forth a button.
That was my favorite shot. That was so good.
Yeah.
Just that whole premise all along, like it went through so many different things. I would watch it. I do think that was the best thing they've ever made.
Absolutely. I don't know why they're being so hard on themselves, but aren't we all?
To move the plot forward. That's
okay.
all. But no, it is really good. But Jason comments, this is a potential career killer, and Melissa agrees, and she asks how they can fix it. Jason recommends they burn it. This project is amazing. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. But sometimes when you're doing creative endeavors, his advice of sometimes we just need to take a break and live life, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Melissa agrees and says, okay, then I think we should go on a hiatus. And Brendan's like, whoa. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And then quickly admits he doesn't know what hiatus is. And it's actually Jason that has to be like, it's literally what you just said.
That's because Jason is smart and talented and
true.
hilarious.
I agree with all those things.
Look away from me.
Although he still asks if they could burn it.
That's true. I do want to say I feel very heavily to Brendan where he's like, wait, we won't do that. Wait, what's a hiatus, right? Yeah. Just like last episode, I was like, what's a boa? And then I was like, well, listen here, Sonny. You don't go to the fancy balls, I see.
I'm just going to call it a feather scarf.
So the next scene, we're at Paula's creative writing class, and she's taking roll call. She calls 3 names on the list, and nobody responds. So this is the first we hear Ken Adelberg's name. Yeah. She's doing roll call. Finally, she asks one of the students, just, what is your name? And he gives the name, and Paula's like, your name's not on the list. And that's when he realizes he's in the wrong class. He's like, oh, I'm in the wrong class. I got to go. And she's like, nope, stay, sit.
Don't even tell me your name.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, no one tell me your name. I don't want to find out anyone else isn't in this class. And then she's like, all right, cool. Let's take a break. If I had showed up to the wrong class and I was like, oh, I'm in the wrong class, gotta go. And then she's like, nope, sit down. I'd be like, no, you don't understand. Like, my anxiety dictates that I will not sit down and sit through this class.
Oh, my anxiety would state that I must listen to this authority figure, and I will stay in this class.
My wallet would be like, you need to go to the class that you fucking paid for.
Yeah, right? So the next scene, we have a classic McGurk and Lynch in the teacher's lounge. McGurk is bringing up the fact that they have a 4-day vacation coming up and asks Mr. Lynch if he has any plans. Mr. Lynch gives like that total teacher, like, yeah, I'm going to grade some papers, maybe do some reading. And McGurk is even like, yeah, dude, you're boring.
I don't think he's very boring.
He's just responsible.
Yeah, which McGurk would look at and see boring.
Absolutely.
Because McGurk just he doesn't think about things. He doesn't have things to do. He just happens to be doing it.
Well, he doesn't have papers to grade and books to read.
Yeah, and if he's got 4 days off, he's literally like, yep, I got nothing.
Yep.
That's when he informs Mr. Lynch he's interested in going to Cancun. So they do this bit where Mr. Lynch calls it Mexico. Interesting. And McGurk's like, what did you just say? And he's like, interesting. He's like, before that. And he said, Like, no, before that.
Oh, Mexico.
And McGurk is even like, it's pronounced Mexico, dude. I thought I was an idiot. That's when McGurk tells Lynch, like, yeah, any interest? And Lynch immediately confesses, like, I don't think we're going to be compatible travel partners. Coach is insistent that they can save money if they do like the group discount thing. And Lynch still seems pretty hesitant. He tells him he can't give him an answer right now. And McGurk is like, think about it, but don't wait too long.
I keep thinking that McGurk is just a bully to Mr. Lynch, and I'm correct. She's, no, listen, you're going to come with me. Come on, we're going to Cancun.
But it's almost like he's bullying him into a friendship, though.
Because that's the only way McGurk knows how to talk to people, is from a place of power in order to get them to hang out with them.
That's true. And I was going to say, it's not like he can take one of his students, but we have an establishing shot of Melissa's house. First time we see Melissa's house, very purple house.
I loved it.
Yes. Also, this is the first time we see the mailbox out front. Says Robbins. Melissa's last name is Robbins.
That's like the first time we've heard her last name?
Yes.
Damn. What's Jason's last name?
We haven't heard it yet, but we do hear it eventually. Would you like to know what it is? We actually, I believe, Chris says it in the interview.
Oh, yeah, because it's got ski at the end, doesn't it?
It's Greek.
Oh. It doesn't have a ski at the end?
No.
Oh, well, never mind. What is it?
I believe it's Papanopoulos.
Oh.
He does say that.
You're right.
Yeah.
So the listeners already know that it's been on the pod. So now we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do know. And what's Melissa Robbins, Eric Robbins? Those are the... And the house is very purple to fit their aesthetic character.
Yeah.
They're both purple.
They're both purple.
Yeah. And even like her phone, the phone cord, very purple.
Yeah. They love purple, and I relate. It's my favorite color.
Cute little side note. The actual actress who plays Melissa Skalski, her middle name is Robbins.
Oh.
Or maybe probably just Robin.
Robin. Yeah.
Right. So they decided to go ahead and use that. They actually talked about this funny thing when you name characters. Basically saying if you name a character a name and 1 million people on Earth have that name, then it's like, yeah, whatever, who cares? But if you name a character a name and only one person on Earth has that name, it's like risky business kind of floating that name out there because it can like a direct link. And so they had to be careful. So they ended up with Melissa Robbins because the actual actress who played Melissa, her middle name was Robin.
Do they decide, or do they tell us why they chose Jason's last name? I don't want to know now, but if they do, that'd be interesting.
I believe they bring it up in the... I can't remember, dude. It's been so long since I saw that particular episode. I don't remember.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah. So many times I've been like, no, they do not. And then 3 episodes later, they're like, well, here's this explanation. And I'm like, well, shucks.
Well, that's the point about being an expert. You're constantly trying to find out what the correct information is.
And I never call myself an expert. I am obsessed.
I think you're an expert.
Thank you. Melissa's on the phone with Brendan. Sitting next to Brendan in the bed is...
a gnome.
A garden gnome.
Yep.
So Melissa asks Brendan what he's been up to, and he says he's been doing some moping, specifically in the living room. So then he got bored and moped in the kitchen. Melissa tells him try moping in the guest bedroom, because it's a great place to mope. Was this a little hint into maybe like, you know, they got a bigger house. They probably got a guest bedroom or two.
Oh, yeah. They're rich.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever said if Brendan has a guest bedroom. I mean, he like agrees, like, yeah, I'll check it out because she's like, it's a great place to mope. But I don't know if that was just a little commentary on like the
idea of like how rich she is because she has a bigger home.
Yeah.
When was the last time you moped? I don't think I've had time to mope.
Oh, I'm a very exclusive shower moper. I like to mope in the shower
It's
a lot.
spot.
Yeah.
Shower moping's good.
I'm a late night moper. I mope before I sleep. It calms me.
So you're telling me you're a smoker?
No, she's a joker.
What about
Then a smoker.
and a late night?
Then a late night moper.
Okay, guys. I actually have to leave real quick.
Oh, man. So Melissa asked Brendan what he's doing tomorrow, and he says he's thinking about lurking. And she said that's crazy because she was thinking about lurking. At this point, he gets another call, and it's Dwayne.
Was this the first time we heard Dwayne speak?
I mean, I think we've heard him speak, but just not in like
Sentences.
full sentences
Yeah.
like this.
Because in the Kafka, didn't he like say he had to have said something?
He said, "This is your cut, right?"
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
But before there was a lot, and even Brendan even says like, I'm having a hard time reading you right now. Dwayne calls and tells him like, hey, I need you to come over and film them doing some dancing. Brendan tells him like he can't really help at the moment because he's very busy with his hiatus. And Dwayne says, oh, shucks. What's hiatus? And that's when Brendan tells him, hey, look, it's complicated. I've got Melissa on the other line. And then I love this part because Dwayne's like, okay, don't hang up.
And
And
hangs
then
up.
Brendan hangs up on him immediately.
I don't know. In this scene, we can't see the full poster, but in this scene in Brendan's room, it says Tsar War. From what you can read,
It looks like the Star Wars font, but yeah, it's either misspelled or says something else.
the T is in front of the S, so it's
like,
T.
it'd be funny if it was like Start Wars.
That's probably what it is, honestly.
Yeah, because they couldn't actually put Star Wars on there.
That's true. But there's a T in front, so that's actually not what it is. But anyway.
Brendan explains to Melissa it was Dwayne. He wanted him to do some work, but I said no. And then he's like, what were we talking about? And Melissa says, oh, we're talking about how we're bored and have nothing to do. The next scene, we see Paula, and she's calling Ken Adelberg, asking if he was planning on showing up to class again. He explained to her he actually dropped out of that class, and she seems kind of surprised and offended. She tells him that you're not going to be a good creative writer if you drop out of the class, and then is like, or maybe you will. I don't know.
But nobody likes quitters.
Nobody likes a quitter. It's really funny. Ken tells Paula, like, hey, my wife has given me the wrap it up signal, so I got to go.
Which is clearly a lie. We don't see his wife.
No, not in this episode, we don't. In the commentary, Brendan said that came from an actual phone call with Jonathan Katz. He was talking to Jonathan Katz on the phone, and Jonathan Katz was like, hey, I'm sorry, Brendan. My wife has given me the wrap it up signal. I got to get going.
That's I don't know if that's true, but that's also a good excuse.
Yeah.
Blame it on the wife.
You know what? Adele had the most stern face and just looked off into the distance.
Yeah, well.
I mean, you could. Oh, my husband's giving me the wrap up signal. You can say that too.
But is it what that was said?
No. Everyday sexism, folks.
Well, in a last-ditch effort, Paula tells him, well, you're not going to get your money back. And he tells her, well, it's funny you mention that. I already got a refund. The next scene, we see Brendan, and he is coloring in a book. Now, in commentary, they said, they're like, we kind of messed up this joke. Because they're like, the joke should have been, we just see him coloring. And then when Paula's like, oh, what are you doing? And he's like, coloring. And she's like, oh, that's not a coloring book. But they physically show you before they have that conversation that he's just coloring like a regular book. So they're like, we kind of gave away the joke.
It's
But
still funny.
yeah, it's still
Yeah.
funny. Especially because she's like, is that one of my books? And he's like, I think so. And then she's like, what book is that? And he's like, Disciplining Your Children?
She doesn't need it.
Yeah, no. I think this was the first time that Paula was kind of getting a little like really irritated with Brent. Like this is the first time that there was some like, I want you out of here right now.
Yeah.
I want you to go.
Well, because not only was he doing that, he tells her that, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, one of your students called like an hour or two ago, and they said, thank you. And she's like, and they want the homework? And he's like, oh, no, they said they'll never see you again. And he's, basically dropping out of the class. I don't think that was Ken Adelberg. Like, she had to call Ken. So I think this was another student.
Yeah, that's what I took it as.
Yeah. And especially because Brendan's like, I forgot the name, whatever.
And she's like, she takes a little bit of a second. She's like, in the future.
Yeah. Because he's like, oh, I looked for you. And she's like, you look in the kitchen? He's like, the one place I didn't look.
I don't know why I didn't think to look in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's such a little kid thing.
Yeah.
But I looked.
Yeah. And at that point, too, she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I guess I'm cutting my pants into to cutoffs. She's like, shorts? He's like, yeah, like Daisy Dukes. And that's when she's like, okay, you need to go. You need to go outside.
You need to do something.
Yeah.
Keep these idle hands.
Yeah.
First he's like, let's get ice cream.
Yeah, he's like, ice cream? And she's like, no, you need to go outside. I swear, and I can bring it up too, but it's maybe 1 or 2 frames. When he gets up and he walks away through the slits in the chair he was sitting in, you can see that his legs are exposed, that he's wearing super duper short shorts.
I didn't even notice that.
I was actually looking for it too, but I think it was just too fast. I didn't.
It was genuinely, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 frames. I mean, it happened so quick, and I didn't pick up on it until I rewatched for the breakdown. I'll turn the volume down, but I'll play it for you guys. Just watch him as he walks away. You'll see his little cutoff shorts.
Oh yeah.
Barely. It was
Barely.
It was covered by the chair too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm
smart
saying,
because
dude,
then
it's
you
like-
don't have to animate the feet at
Yeah.
all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it cuts to feet.
Yes.
So I'm under the assumption that his lack of anything better to do, coupled with Paula wanting him to get the fuck out of the house, had him leave the house and kind of buckle and go help Dwayne. Because the next scene starts pretty much right here. Sassy.
He's wearing a feather scarf.
Very Rocky Horror Picture Show-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
love
can
that.
definitely see it.
His hand up, his little shake, I don't like being told what to do.
I have not seen Rocky Horror in such a long time.
Oh.
I need to rewatch that. It also says Skag right there,
Scab. That's the name of the band, Scab. SCAB.
but his legs are covering it, so it looks like Skag.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a picture.
Sure. Well, at this point, we pull back to reveal that Brendan is recording Dwayne's band practice. A mysterious girl who appears to be a little bit older than Brendan interrupts to tell Dwayne to watch the others, and she thinks he's making up his dancing on the spot. Dude, Brendan clocks her immediately. She asked Dwayne if he did his stretching, and he claims he has, so she's encouraging him to stretch, and she's like, that's not stretching. And we see the camera tilting. Brendan's kind of like, hey, I'm stretching.
Showing off.
Cringe. She wears clothes over her onesie, and that pisses me off.
No, that's a very Disney early 2000s fashion right there. That's like an Ashley Tisdale outfit.
That doesn't make it good. Ashley Tisdale know what she's done. Listen, it's a onesie because it's the same color all the way down, and then she just puts clothes on top.
But she's the cool one. She's got to show off a little bit.
Okay. I mean pop off queen, but I'm not wearing it.
I understand the legging part because she's a dancer or whatever. She's got the dance legging sock things. But yeah, the top and then appears to be cargo shorts maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Kim Possible pants.
Yeah.
Look, she's got a feather scarf.
Oh. Oh, man. I mean, Ashley Tisdale's wardrobe in the early 2000s, was it iconic? Maybe. I'd
I would
say
think
yeah.
so.
I'd say yeah. You don't forget about it.
Yeah. I don't. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh,
So-
God. I've worn a skirt over jeans
Yeah.
in my day.
So you were a badass.
When I was like 12, sure.
Everyone is a badass when they're 12, or at least in their mind.
Correct. Or 8.
That's
So
true.
now it looks like we're on a little break from the filming. Brendan approaches this mysterious girl, and his opening line is like, yeah, they're slow, but they'll get it.
Wow, just immediately starts putting down other people to make
Right.
himself look good.
I wonder who he gets that from. Maybe a certain coach?
Maybe. Who knows? She even asks, like, what? And he quickly changes the subject. He's like, yeah, I haven't seen you around. And she said, well, yeah, they needed a choreographer. And Brendan's like, well, that's really cool. Because girls our age, they're just into, like, stupid ballet and not, like, actual dancing. And then very quickly she's like, well, I'm in stupid ballet.
Now that you've said that, McGurk's game and Brendan's game, exactly the fucking
I was going to
same.
say, because he's like 2 steps away from saying, now men.
Well, he immediately backtracks, of course, and he's like, well, no. I don't mean stupid like dumb. So she's like, so what do you do here? And that's when he explains, oh, actually, like I shouldn't be here. I'm on hiatus, but you know, I'm a filmmaker. And she kind of hits him with like, oh, that's cool.
That is the exact same reaction most people give you when you say you're a filmmaker. You're like, oh, I know what you're thinking.
So he introduces himself as Brendan. He's kind of like, well, hey, I'm Brendan. And she just gets up and she's like, well, my mom's picking me up, and walks away. Like, snubbed.
And he goes, awesome.
Awesome. And she stops and she's like, did you just say awesome? And he's like, what? No.
First of all, why she gotta call him out for that?
That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to scream out. If I was Brendan, I'm like, I'm awkward. What do you want from me? I'm awkward.
So she says, okay, well, I'll see you around. And Brendan's like, okay, awesome. Now, we don't have her name yet, but I will say this mysterious girl is voiced by Jen Kirkman, who did the voice of Nurse Jen.
Oh.
So, same voice actress. They just pitched her voice up a little bit more because she's playing a kid. This is another appearance by Jen Kirkman, but instead of Nurse Kirkman, she is the role of Cynthia.
Another parallel between Brendan and McGurk that they're going after.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I didn't even think
a
about
girl
that.
who does the same voice.
But I will bring up a good thing that Brendan does in this episode, because he's got some bad things he does throughout this episode, but he's got one good thing in his pocket, and I'll bring it up when it happens.
Okay.
The next scene, so wholesome.
It's my favorite scene.
Yeah, okay, play it. You got to play it.
Okay, we'll go there. I did write it down, but I will play it for you because I do love this scene, and it brings up something they mention in commentary that I can bring up very quickly while we play it. So this next scene is a very wholesome scene with Jason, Walter, and Perry.
Dear Diary, ever since I've been on hiatus, my life's been great. I'm playing for the first time and making new friends. I realize now what's been missing from my life. Fun. Love, Jason.
Oh my god, I'm getting dizzy. Barry, help me! I'm gonna fall! Jason, catch us!
Jason, catch us!
Perry.
Oh my
Perry,
gosh.
Perry!
Just the thing that's been missing. Fun.
I love the music. Boop, 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 boop.
He's just
Oh,
so happy. He
was that
found
the-
friends.
Was that the home movies theme? But like,
No,
oh, okay.
I don't think so.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have. But no, I agree with you. I think that was a very like I really liked that scene. I think that really brought some personality to Jason. It made me actually want to think about him.
It's happening.
So in the commentary, they talk about when they first did that scene, it was just the music and then them playing.
Yeah.
And they're like, it played very confusing. And then Brendan is like, then we just brought in John Benjamin and we're like, let's just do this voiceover. And they did it and they're like, we're brilliant. And they even joke in the commentary like, yes, we figured out this thing they've been doing for years and years and years. But I love that scene. It's so wholesome. Jason
Yeah.
he's happy.
He's learned to let go a little bit and just have some fun.
He learned what is missing in life.
Fun.
Fun.
But does that say that he's a workaholic? Does it say that he doesn't actually enjoy filmmaking?
He's not here to make friends. He's here to make movies.
That's
it's a serious business.
That's right. I
Don't want to hear it. Jason is a professional enough that even if he's not having fun, he's still there and he's still putting in the time and doing the movies and doing the characters because that's who Jason is.
Yeah,
as long as he doesn't get any power whatsoever.
Fair.
that's fair.
Next scene. So we cut to, it's like a mid-conversation between McGurk and Brendan. And McGurk is calling Brendan a baby. And he's like, just ask.
Just ask your mom, dude.
And that's when Brendan is like, I don't think she'll let me go to Cancun right now.
I love this scene because it's just very reminiscent of every time I've wanted to like have a slumber party at someone's. Just ask your mom, dude. Just ask your mom.
Asked her.
Or you can ask my mom because she'll say no if I ask.
Yep.
Yeah.
McGurk had such a good line in this scene too.
Well, he reminds Brendan, he's like, we're on friendly terms with Mexico.
Forgot about that.
And Brendan's like, that's not the issue, but it's that maybe like, I don't know, my mom won't let me go to Cancun with my soccer coach.
Just
So,
ask her, bro.
yeah, he's like, just ask her. He's like, here, let's do a reenactment. You be you, I'll be your mom. And he's like, hey mom, can I go to Cancun? He's like, with who? With Coach McGurk. Sure. He's like, see,
easy.
that's all you got to do. All you got to do is ask. He's like, that's the problem with this country. Nobody asks anymore.
That's my favorite line.
It's kind of true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brendan does give him a definitive answer, and he just says, you know what? It's not going to happen. So again, with the pacing, we go right from this scene. We go right to Mr. Lynch explaining to Coach that he takes travel very seriously. And if they're going to be travel companions, McGurk has to take a course in Mexican history and rudimentary Spanish. McGurk tells him, no, I have no interest in doing any of those things. And so Lynch tells him, okay, hasta mañana. And McGurk is like, what does that mean? And he's like, it means goodbye forever.
Well, not really, but
No.
Yeah.
It means see you tomorrow? No. Have a good night?
I think it does mean see, because mañana is tomorrow.
Yeah.
how do you say see you next Tuesday? And
No idea.
I don't know how you guys feel about this. I think Mr. Lynch is being very responsible and very to teach the culture before you actually go
Yes.
to a place.
Yes, I think that is honestly how you should travel. to
Should
a
approach it,
different country.
absolutely.
Because you don't want to be disrespectful,
Exactly that. Exactly, yes.
which happens anyway.
God, no, it's so fucking good.
So Lynch pretty much breaks it down and says, McGurk, if you want me to go, you got to meet me after school tomorrow. Bring a pencil. So now we're in Mr. Lindenson's office. He's talking to Paula. He tells Juliet to hold his calls and explains to Paula that in his 3 years of working, 3 fiscal years, he's only held his calls maybe 6 times. So Paula, I think, kind of getting the vibe something's going on, just makes a comment like, hey, I know the dropout rate in my class is pretty high, but you don't need to worry about that. And that's when Mr. Lindenson's like, oh, I have no time to worry. I am a man who has no time to worry. And then even tells her, like, and I don't think you should be worrying like these minute little details, like people dropping out of your class. And she's like, oh, thank you. And he's like, but that being said, you are fired.
Dude.
He was so happy to fire her.
He wasn't just he was antagonistic.
Oh yeah.
The second the door opened and I saw him, I audibly sighed. I was no.
Well, last week you were like, "Oh, do we see him again?" I'm like, "Yes, we do." Literally the next episode.
I was so
And is this the last time we see him?
No, is it?
No, it's not.
Nice.
I had a theory last time because when you brought up that he'll be back, I was like, why did, because there's no reason for him getting in a car accident and then just being like in bandage. There's no like tie into the plot. So I was like, is this just like his character design for the rest of the show then? Is he's in bandages and then we see him here and he's like, nope, he's just perfectly fine. They just wanted to have him hit a car for no reason, which is fine by me.
I mean, he deserved it, honestly, because he's a piece of shit.
Agree.
But he's one of these characters that like I can't stand him, but he makes me laugh loud as fuck. Like like as much as I can't stand his character, and if I met this person in real life, I would avoid him like the plague. But he's just got such great lines.
You can laugh at him because he's not your boss.
That's
yes,
true.
absolutely.
If he was your boss, it would be completely different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But because, one, he's not your boss, and two, an animated fictional character, we can kind of look past the obscurity and be like, oh, this is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but then like it'd be one thing if he was like, aha, funny line, and like this happens, I'm a piece of shit, ha ha ha. But then later in the episode, after he fires her, Paula is clearly going through a mental breakdown because of the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this piece of shit.
Well, at this point, Paula is definitely taken off guard. And he confirms it. He's like, yeah, budget cuts. Her class was on the chopping block. But you know what? A lot of people in the same boat. He's like, remember Mrs. Gardner, the bagpipe lady? Gonski. and you remember? Yeah. And then he's like turning in his chair. He's like, yeah. And you remember Mr. French? Budget cuts. He's like, what do you do?
He's so happy to do it.
Yeah.
Literally, his next line is, there is nothing worse than letting people go, Paula. Literally, as he is laughing.
That
He's a dick.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I think it's just too real. I think that's what it is. He's just...
A lot of people like him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there.
And then also, I know this came out in 2001, so maybe this wasn't like that bad, but like getting fired is kind of like a death sentence now. So that I think that's where like the tenseness immediately just like pulled my string, and the string won't cut. It's like I'm ready for it. It's gonna fucking snap.
Well, Paula asks when this is effective, and he reiterates it's effective immediately. This is not like some future thing. Clean out your desk. And she's like, I don't have a desk. And he's like, okay, well, could you clean some of the windows?
Fucking dick.
One of my favorite lines, and I think I've said this line before, like in real life, but he's like, I'm sorry, that's a bad joke. He's like, nope, not a bad joke. A bad time for jokes.
I think Paula, even later in the episode, I think even more so, is too nice to this man.
Agreed.
If this was me, I'd pop off. Especially after the window joke, I'd be like, oh, bitch, if I'm fired, I'm going out blazing.
There's a specific moment where I think I would have attacked this man. Yeah. I will bring it up later.
That probably explains his question of motivations later on. But yeah, I mean, as a boss, you have to tolerate some of it, unfortunately. But the second that he's like, I'd be like, dude, fuck off then. What the fuck,
I'd
dude?
be like, let me pull out my laundry list of things I've wanted to say to you.
Let me pull out I can't say this on the podcast.
This next scene I love so much because the scene opens and it's Dwayne's band literally playing the opening theme song.
I didn't catch that.
Dude, like when it opens, it's Dwayne and he's sliding down the guitar and the bass drum is lining up and the drum and they're...
Could you pull that up just for me? It's okay if you cut it out of the pod.
Just for you, should I leave the room?
Actually, both of you leave the room. Let me find it.
So something very similar to that happened in the Art of the Sucker Punch, where they're at the park and it's a come back from break. And Dwayne's sitting on like the park sign and he's like playing the guitar part. And I mentioned it in the episode then, but they do it again. I love it so much. It lines up. It's great. It really ties how much music is a huge part of this show. And they even say in the commentary, season 2, they're like, they want so much music. They're like, add as much music as we can.
Always
I love
a good
it.
time.
I love it. We see an upside down Brendan asking Dwayne if he's sure that he doesn't need him to tape today. Dwayne tells him multiple times, like, nope, I'm sure, we're good. We see the mystery girl come in. You kind of understand now why Brendan wants to stick around. Brendan asks multiple times if he can help as an audience member, whatever. And Dwayne just he's like, no thanks. So that's when, last ditch effort, Brendan's like, well, I mean, I can jam with you guys. And that's when he pulls out that makeshift guitar made from like a shoebox and some rubber bands. So he goes to play it, and one of the rubber bands breaks and hits him in the eye. He starts flailing the quote-unquote guitar, being like, I'm okay. And that's when the shoe flies out and hits Dwayne. Now, in commentary, they mentioned that this joke, it's a little tough because it's his mom's shoe that flies out and it hits the ground. But Dwayne and his band are all wearing like flashy women's shoes too. So it kind of like the joke got lost a little bit, but that's why Brendan's like, oh, that's my mom's. Like,
I was wondering, I thought it was going to tie in like to show the audience that the shoe is here, so that means something, and then it just never came back.
it semi comes back, but no.
Is it just because he's a shoebox to make that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because he used the shoebox to make it and didn't realize one of his mom's shoes was still in the shoebox.
Now, I've noticed you said earlier that there was another joke that didn't land, and that was because they saw the book before they explained that it wasn't a coloring book.
Correct.
That seems more like a fault with the animators not understanding what the joke is both times.
Sure. And even Lauren Bouchard in the commentary is like, that's kind of on me. It seems like he was kind of the link between the animators and the writing and stuff like that. So he's like, you know what, that's on me. I should have caught that.
I mean, that's fair. Fair.
And again, it wasn't even like the joke was still funny.
Yeah, it still was. The point of that joke, in my opinion, just seems like it's an awkward kid not being able to take no for an answer and just trying to insert himself more.
Yeah. And then we have a quick scene where Dwayne's holding an ice pack to his head where Brendan hit him with a shoe. And Brendan's apologizing and asks again if there's anything he can do to help. And that's when Dwayne kind of concedes, like, okay, you want to be a roadie? And Brendan's like, yes. What is that?
Been there.
Yeah.
You've been a roadie?
Well, not so much a roadie for like a band or anything, but being just anyone like a PA for film, for any type of production assistant turns into a roadie. You do whatever the film set needs as a PA. So you're carrying stuff, you're moving stuff, you're walking over like a room over and like tying black tape to a light because you want to make sure that it's not shining through a window and hitting a glare. So you're just doing everything at that point. So I've been in those cases, and the first time I had to be a production assistant, I had no idea what that entailed. I was like, a production? Ooh. And they'll see me, a winner. But I was so awkward. I was like, what is my actual function? And no one told me eventually that, you just do whatever we tell you to do.
That's the assistant part of the title.
Exactly. And the part that scared the fuck out of me, because I am not a person who I want to ask a lot of very specific questions about how to do things, because I need you to tell me very specific what you want me to do. And this next part, I was like, oh no, that would have been me. That would have been me.
So we cut to this nice little love ballad of Dwayne singing about a pretty girl.
That's so cute.
Brendan looks over at the mysterious girl daydreaming. She kind of, leans back and looks at him, gives him a little wink.
The fantasy version of her.
Yep. She's doing like a little twirl around, and Dwayne gets to the part, he's like, such a pretty girl. And then he gets to the part where he's like, all right, guitar! And then is just violently electrocuted.
Not once.
Well, we see Brendan next to the electrocuted Dwayne, and the guitar is plugged directly into a wall socket.
See, now that is exactly what I would have probably... If I didn't know where to plug something in my head, I would have been like, plug in. There's a plug. I got to get it in there somehow. They wanted me to plug it in, so I got to do it. There's nothing... I got to jam it in there.
Gotta get the hammer.
So, and Brendan's explaining, I knew it wouldn't fit, and, I started hammering it, and at one point while I'm hammering it, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to electrocute somebody.
That, honest to God, same thought process. I was so scared, and I was like, I would have done that. I would have killed someone.
Well, in his defense, he said he was distracted by fixing the stage lights. As he says that, some stage lights fall, and he's like, that's not even the ones I was working on. But he tells him, hey, Dwayne, don't worry. Getting electrocuted rarely happens twice. And as he's saying that, Dwayne gets electrocuted. I even think he says something like, oh, yeah, no, that's good luck. Or, no, wait, that's something with a butterfly. Brendan apologizes again. And I think Marcin caught it. The shocked Dwayne, gives him a little, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Real one. Don't sweat it, dude.
He's a good guy. He doesn't hold anything against him.
Agreed.
So next we see the band Scab, and they're dancing. They're doing kind of a, what's that, Michael Jackson, the horror.
Thriller.
Yeah, the Thriller dance.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully Dwayne's okay. He's fine. He's up. He's dancing. So as we're doing so, Brendan approaches the mysterious girl. He says hello and asks for her name. And that's when she finally says her name is Cynthia. Every time Brendan talks to her, she is so disinterested.
Well, she's in the middle of working.
That was the other. Like, she's not
Yes.
even disinterested. She's doing something else.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, she gives Brendan a few eye rolls as well.
It's not a bad time. It's a bad timed. I forget the fucking joke.
It's not a bad talk. It's a bad time to talk.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
There you go. So, yeah, Cynthia's very distracted. She's helping the band with their choreography. As she's helping the band and, like, encouraging them, Brendan, I don't know if you got this, he goes on this little tangent. He's like, yeah, my name's not that flashy, so I might change it to something else like Nathan. The first time I actually sat there to, like, listen and hear, I thought he said Nathan or Heathcliff. And I was like, Heathcliff? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it comes up later. He doesn't say Heathcliff. He just says the Cliff. He's like, yeah, my name's not flashy, so I might change it to something like the Cliff or Nathan.
That's really interesting.
And that actually, and we'll get to it later, but that comes back around.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Brendan invites her to hang out sometime, even commenting like, hey, I got a pretty cool sandbox. And she is very obviously like more focused on work. She finally tells him, yeah, okay, cool, dude. I got to get back to work. And even calls him Nathan. And Brendan corrects her and drops one more awesome. Besides her and the entire band being like, looking at him like, did you say awesome? And he laughs and he's like, no.
What's wrong with saying awesome?
It's the awkwardness, questioning the awkwardness. It's like, I don't know. I have this fear. I don't want to get too caught up in the sauce, but I wanted to ask, have you guys had those child crushes? And did they not kind of freak you out in a way? Like, just cause some, like, because I was watching that and just the awkwardness. I had that so much just talking to anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in that, like, thing is in school where it's like if you talk to somebody, you instantly have a crush on them. Oh my God.
I had one instance where I confided in someone who I thought was my best friend. We were like, what, 5th grade? And I told her I had a crush on a classmate, and she went and she told everybody, dude. And then this other girl called me out in gym class, and she's all like, I heard you like Ian. And I'm like, no. Where'd you hear that?
I lied through my teeth.
Yeah, I was like, absolutely not. What do you mean? No.
You know, like a liar.
Awesome.
God, I did have a crush on this one girl, like, really badly. I had a crush on her. And, like, I think it was, like, well received.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we both had a crush on each other. But then someone in class, like, kind of pointed it out to me. Like, oh, yeah, you got a crush on Heather. And,
I said Ian, so it's fine.
that's true. And my face, just tomato. And they were like, oh, his face is so red. And I'm like, and I was like, no, I don't like her. I hate her. Yeah,
You said you hated her?
yeah, and she heard it. We actually formed a rivalry after that. Oh yeah, it was a really bad time. So like crushes, like ooh, especially school ones.
Have
like,
you heard of enemies to lovers? You guys went from lovers to enemies.
We really did. We really did. At one point, we in a different class we were doing a game of telephone. You played the game.
Yeah.
And it got to me, and I needed to make sure. So much. I needed to make sure that like people knew that I didn't like her. So someone whispered to me what the thing was, and I ignored what it was, and I to this day cannot remember what they told me because I was like, I know what I'm gonna do, and I whispered, Heather worships the devil. And it went to the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person, and it got back to my friend Javier at the time, and like I thought it would have changed in some way. Nope. Verbatim. He's like, my teacher was like, so what was it? He's like, Heather worships the devil.
Oh my God.
And the whole class knew it was me.
Dude.
And it was bad.
Did you go to public school?
Yeah, I did that.
Oh, okay. Thank God you didn't do that in a Catholic school, because your ass would have been grass.
Oh, yeah, you would have been expelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. All right. So the next scene, we're at school, and Mr. Lynch is trying to teach McGurk Spanish. McGurk is throwing pencils into the ceiling and tells Lynch straight up like he hates this. He asks Coach McGurk what he does for a job, and he's like, soccer coach? And he's like, no, Espanol. So he tries to teach him a couple more phrases. The first one meaning, I have a peanut. And then the second one meaning, I have a pig in my nose.
McGurk's line.
And McGurk is like, what is going on in Mexico?
I love that. That made me laugh. What's going on down there?
What's going on in Mexico?
Oh, it's so funny. Well, we're back at the small residence. Paula, it seems like she's preparing dinner, but she's on the phone with Mr. Lindenson. He's telling her he feels bad about her getting fired and wants her to know, hey, it wasn't my fault. Even though when the board asked who we should let go, your name was the first one that came up. It was like a word association thing. Like, someone needs to get fired, Paula. And Paula is like, why are you calling? Like, she's so over. At this point, it's not her boss anymore. She doesn't have to put up with this shit. So he, at first, like, oh, I just wanted to see how you're doing. And he's like, okay, no. Essentially, he's calling her to make sure she's not going to sue for some kind of wrongful termination or whatever.
I really hope she does.
Would be nice. You're saying I have a case.
So, yeah, right? If my former employee just fired me, he's like, hey, just making sure you weren't suing. I could sue?
I mean, like, I didn't even think of that. You put that idea in my head.
You guys are making money?
I'm not saying we're going to sue. I'm just saying we have a case.
Paula basically gets frustrated and hangs up on him. So, again, with the pacing, the very next scene, Mr. Lindenson's at the door of the small residence. Paula is like, what are you doing here? And he's like, you hung up on me.
See, if I had kept my cool the entire time, him showing up at my door, I would have lost my fucking shit. I would have been like, get off my goddamn property, dude.
Well, and not to mention the fact that at first, he's like, sometimes people get fired and they, and gives a little, like, finger to the throat thing.
Yeah.
And she maybe is like, oh, okay, well, hey, that's very nice. I'm not going to do anything to myself. And he's like, not you, me. I'm talking about you killing me.
Yeah.
It's all about him.
I wrote in all capital letters in 2 different lines, he showed up? I would, on site, I would be like, oh, you want to come in? And then just, like I wrote, I'm going to deep six Arnie. Like, yeah. He showed, this is what I mean by antagonistic.
Yeah. Talk about pacing. It went from her hanging up to the phone to him knocking on the door immediately.
Right.
And like the sound of frustration that came out of Marcin because he wasn't expecting that.
It was so quick. And then it cut extremely.
Right. So then he's like, okay, I just wanted to make sure nobody was going to get hurt. I brought you a gift. I hope you like wine. And she's like, I do. And he's like, in boxes. Holds up a box of wine, 2 glasses, smash cut 2.
Arnie is blasted, just like going off, just talking so much shit to Paula, whose eyes are visibly glazed.
Paula had some drinky poos. That there's no denying that. But Paula can maintain.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like Paula's a professional.
Yeah. She's been around the block with wine.
She I don't know if her eyes were glazed because she was drunk. I think she was just ignoring it.
Yeah,
I think she was just
over it.
Yeah, very much over it.
Why did she invite her ex-boss into her home? I don't know.
She didn't.
Very,
she absolutely
very
didn't.
good question.
That's when the cops get called.
She's too nice.
This is the point. I'm going to bring up something that was in commentary from last episode, but I just wanted to hold on to this for this episode, specifically kind of where we are right now. Let's take a look at Paula's journey, just the first 3 episodes of season 2. Okay. The first episode, she wins the award for nicest teacher of the month. Mm-hmm. The second episode, she asked for a raise and is like very aggressively denied that raise. Yep. And now in the third episode, she loses her job completely.
Yeah.
Okay. Between this scene and then just a couple scenes later with her recycling bin, it's very obvious that to deal with all of this, she has been drinking. But again, and I had mentioned something, but it's not to the detriment of Brendan. Yeah. He's not having any kind of negative reactions to this. Okay.
I do have a question. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I just think it went from a hard turn because she was asking for a raise because things were going so well.
Right.
In her teaching. And then on like literally the next episode, there's only technically 2 people in her class.
Right.
Wait, wasn't it 3? Because it was...
the other dude wasn't actually in her class.
You're right.
Yeah. They wanted to set a record straight because there was a very unfortunate coincidence that happened around this time as well. If you remember from episodes 1 through 5, Paula Poundstone was the voice of Paula Small. When UPN kind of went away and then a couple years later they got picked up by Adult Swim, before they even went into production, Paula Poundstone contacted them and said, hey, I'm really not interested in bringing this character back. So they go with Janine DiTullio. She stays pretty true to the character and the voice. It was around this time in real life that Paula Poundstone was going through a lot of stuff, including addiction, losing work due to, some DUI issues, some other issues that have since been taken care of and stuff like that. But they just really wanted to make a point that what they wrote for the character of Paula Small had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on in the personal life of Paula Poundstone. It was just a very unfortunate coincidence that there were any parallels at all. And because of that, and the show coming out at internet wasn't really what it was, and rumors get started and stuff like that, they, in the commentary, really wanted to set the record straight that any parallels between what this character was going through and what someone who used to work on this show was going through. It was not them trying to say, well, you left our show. Well, this is what we're going to do to your character. Absolutely nothing. It was nothing vindictive, nothing like that. It was just a very, very unfortunate timing and coincidence.
Because I don't know who Paula Poundstone is as a comedian or as a person in real life. I just know that she's been voice acting for this character. But they've already established that Paul is kind of the character is kind of an alcoholic in the show. So I wouldn't even thought that. But then again, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the exact, the date this episode came out and then the date she got in. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not going to. But it just seemed very clear to me that in the commentary, they wanted to kind of set the record straight. No, this was not anything. Honestly, this was our writers and going through a lot of these issues that made their way onto and nothing to do with that. So, because they really wanted to let people know that. And I think it's only fair that if we're going to revisit this show, that if this is something that I'm aware of, I want people to know it too. That's where that situation is. At this point, Brendan comes home to a very drunk Mr. Lindenson and Paula. He has the shoe that hit Dwayne, and Mr. Lindenson immediately takes it and uses it to funnel box wine into his mouth.
He does a shoey.
Yeah.
Literally does a shoey.
Yep. Culture.
He tries to focus on Brendan, and he's like, look at you, an adorable little young lady. And Brendan is like, I'm not that little.
I'm a pretty lady.
That was, yeah.
I'm a pretty lady.
Yeah.
So Paula introduces him as, this is Mr. Lindenson, the man who fired me. And Mr. Lindenson makes a comment he can't believe the wine went so quickly. There must be a leak. And he's like, speaking of, and goes into the corner to, quote, use the facilities.
He was going to pee on her floor.
Yeah, he is wasted.
What a guy. What a unit.
He is wasted.
I had written down speechless and underlined it. I had written down speechless when he was trashed.
Yeah.
When I first see that, and then when he went to the corner, I underlined it. I was just, I can't. Who does this guy think he is?
He's the boss.
Yeah.
It went to his head a little bit.
Brendan definitely drags his ass into the bathroom. And once there, Brendan's like, all right, I should leave so you can go to the bathroom. And Mr. Lindenson drunkenly is like, that's your call.
I don't know why that makes me laugh every time that's your call.
He's wearing a toilet paper sash and belt. He's got the toilet brush that he's poking at Brendan with. He even says, to each their own, young woman.
I don't know. It's the tone. It's the yelling. I don't know why it gets me so bad. But.
Yeah. Me picturing Andy Kindler as he's recording this, just flailing about.
I've never seen someone that trashed. I've heard stories of people being that trashed. I've never seen someone that trashed.
Oh, you're very lucky.
You were at my 26th birthday.
You were that trash.
I felt that trash.
Well, you definitely didn't do that.
That's fair.
True.
I didn't pee in the corner.
Thank goodness. Somebody dragged you into the bathroom. We cut to Walter and Perry pulling on Jason's arms, saying they need to play more. Let's play, Jason. Let's play. We got to play, Jason. Play more.
Jason's pooped.
And he loses it. He's like, no more!
I don't want no more fun.
Balance, Jason, balance.
Well, again, with the pacing, we cut right back to the small residence. And we've got Brendan, Jason, and Melissa with the video camera. Back in business, baby. Let's go. Melissa asked Brendan, did you catch this? What happened to little fancy dancy girl?
Yeah.
And Brendan was like, nothing. And she's like, oh, really? Really? Like nothing? I don't know. That there was kind of something weird there where she's like, oh, really?
Well, it's because it's like you talk about that because they have such a strong friendship, like when they're calling each other on the phone and just talking. Like they're both bored and like, oh, what are you doing? I'm bored. Oh yeah, I'm bored too. So I think she definitely wanted to hear more about it.
Yeah, she was invested.
Yeah.
Or maybe he talked it up a lot and then he's like, yep, nothing. And she's like, wait, really?
I mean, he made a guitar thing to like kind of smuggle himself in there, and then
Well, Brendan confesses the only thing it really made him do is want to get back to work. They're fresh, they're focused. Let's do it. And then it immediately cuts to them doing jazz again.
but it's so half-heartedly. So
Brendan is in it, I think, a little bit. Jason,
not at all.
no. Melissa's got a little doodly-doo in there.
She's hesitant.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Melissa coming in and then doing the jazz part, like I was excited for that. I would have loved to see Melissa from the energy from the beginning.
Yes. Exactly.
But now I don't know because this doesn't really get they don't really talk about like are they just tired?
I think they a little burnout.
Yeah.
And they thought the hiatus would fix it, but it just made things worse.
Well, and that's exactly it. Jason's like, this still sucks. And Melissa's like, yeah, it's somehow got worse. And Brendan's like, we are never going on hiatus again. And Jason squick, squawk, squeakity agrees before pushing over the mic stand and walking away.
Oh, Jason.
The next scene, Brendan is walking by Paula, looking through the classified ads. Paula is like, yeah, things are going to be a little tight, but everything's going to be okay. And Brendan's like, well, okay.
She's keeping it together for him.
Yeah.
I feel like internally she's freaking out.
I would say so, especially
exactly.
because, I mean, so she asked them to take out the recycling bin, which we pan over to, and it was filled with empty wine bottles.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hard for him to carry it outside. He was struggling.
Yeah.
And then she even, like, as they're saying goodbye to each other, Paula's like, everything's great. He's like, okay.
That second time, it sounded like she was trying to convince herself.
Yeah. See, the 3 plots per an episode, I don't know if this becomes a staple of the series of, like, having 3 separate plots.
Yeah.
However, like, the highs of, like, Brendan playing with Dwayne, and then McGurk and Lynch, and then all of a sudden, the very lows of what Paula's going through. It just, it's a weird sandwich I get to bite into. Mm-hmm. I feel so bad for Paula.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, the ABC plots is definitely a thing. And one of my episodes, one of my favorites, I think it's coming in season 3, has an ABC plot that at one point, literally all 3 of the plots, literally and physically run into each other. It's very well done. So, yeah, I think they're finding their groove here. And, yeah, the ABC plot is a new little thing they got in there. In their arsenal. So, yeah, Brendan's pushing the recycling bin down to the street. And who should he run into? Well,
Ashley Tisdale.
Herself.
Cynthia walks up. She asks Brendan, hey, where you been? You haven't been coming over to Dwayne's and electrocuting anybody.
Bop, 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 bop to the top.
I love his response because he's like, no, I'm still electrocuting people, just not there.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder?
Yeah,
Is that what's
maybe.
happening?
And this is the part where I threw the notebook.
Yeah, you did. Can you want to explain why?
Well, okay, first off, when I threw the notebook, I didn't, like, throw it. I just kind of tossed it. I did toss.
We'll check the
He
cameras on that
aggressively
one.
tossed it.
I saw a throw.
Yeah, I guess that's...
Okay, whatever. Moving on. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel it. No, because, like, this is the thing that Brendan did good. He took the hint. He walked away. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. And then I had a different moment in my head because the way that you brought it up earlier about the fact that Brendan was talking and saying like his name was Nathan or Cliff, and that's what she heard. Mm-hmm. And then she came back later after like not feeling that interested and then calling him these different names, but she actually did hear them.
Yep. So maybe she was interested all along. She was just doing her job.
She was focusing on work. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly.
I had a different idea in my head of what happened. I thought like he shot her shot, she shot him down, and then like came back and was like, hey, where are you going? I know you tried to like talk to me, and I looked at you and made you feel awkward and didn't think that you were like good enough to talk to then.
Didn't tell you my name the first 3 times we conversed.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so funny too, because that was definitely the vibe I got as well. So this last, scene of her approaching him. But then once Adele was just like, dude, she was working.
Yeah.
She was focused on her work like she should have been.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, that does make sense. Oh my gosh, we can live in a world where both things are true. She was working, focusing on her work, but still having a little bit of interest in Brendan.
Yeah.
I think Brendan took too many lessons from McGurk.
Yes.
I don't think he has enough conversations with Paula about how to approach women. I don't think that is enough. I just applaud Brendan for just being like, oh, yeah, nothing happened. It's over. I'm good. Like, just move on.
The part I want to highlight that I want to kind of give Brendan his flowers for is when she's like, oh, you haven't been coming over to Dwayne's and electrocuting people. And he's like, no, I've been electrocuting people just somewhere else. That defense mechanism of like, dude, she's roasting you. Yeah, maybe because she likes you, but also she's a kid and she's making fun of you.
Yeah.
You electrocuted a man, and she's not going to let you forget that.
A man, a 13-year-old.
A 13-year-old man with some crazy legs.
With some long...
Nope. Nope.
I like how you caught it before I did.
I know, I do exactly. Literally, when that song played, Crazy Legs, I'm like, there's going to be a fucking Long Legs reference. Cut that shit out. But the fact that not only did he take the joke, but then turned it around like, no, I was electrocuting people somewhere else. Don't worry about it. That was the right move. Could have been upset. He could have been defensive. He could have been like, whatever, dude. But he's like, no, he turned it around. He made a joke. And I think that she's like, all right, kid's got jokes.
Your perspective is very interesting to me because when I watched that and she said, you're not electrocuting Dwayne or whatever, I took that as she liked that. Like, she liked that he electrocutes, like, ooh, bad boy, he electrocutes people. I didn't think she was making fun of him. I thought she was like, ooh.
Oh, well, maybe,
bad boy
maybe
energy.
that was. Maybe it was a little bit of both.
It could have been.
But she brings up, like, hey, well, no, he's like, is that why you came over here, is to, like, make fun of me? And she's like, oh, no, actually, I came over here to tell you that I'm moving away and you'll probably never see me again. And he's even like, really? And she's like, no, I'm just joking. And then as she's like talking very faintly, you hear him be like, oh. And she's like, no, I'm just kidding. I was going to see if maybe that offer still stands to hang out. And Brendan is like genuinely surprised, like, oh, I didn't think you were paying attention. And she's like, well, I was. And he's like, then what's my name? And that's when she's like, The Cliff. And he amusingly said, you were listening. And he put a little smiley face.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
Do we see her again?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
She's such a pretty girl.
Jury's still out on Cynthia. Like, I did throw the notebook. I tossed it.
Aggressively.
Yeah.
Because I thought it, like, at the mind games. I don't like that I don't like the game that comes with, like, flirting. I hate it.
I feel that.
I really can't stand it. Like, anything that has to do with, like...
I get it.
Yeah, so I just, like, you're just messing with this kid. This kid left you alone, and now you're coming around to play it late. I was just like,
She came back around for a reason.
Yeah, and it seems like she isn't... The way you explained it, and then, like, actually thinking about it, like, oh, yeah, she was listening. I was like, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, gang, we have one final scene.
The best scene.
I love this scene.
We are in Mexico. We see a very drunk Mr. Lynch. He's wearing a poncho. He sees McGurk. He clocks him. He comes up. He hugs him. He calls him buddy.
That was my favorite. Buddy!
Buddy!
They're actually friends. Oh my god.
He's letting loose, dude.
Yeah. To me, it was so funny because he was like, we have to go in with all this knowledge and we have to know the culture and we have to be respectful. And then he's the one that gets trashed. And
Yes.
it's like,
And here's the thing. I don't know if you collect this. It did appear that McGurk had like empty bottles in front of him.
Yeah.
He was just like, holding his own. He was fine. He wasn't.
oh, he needs a lot more bottles than that.
Exactly.
We've seen
Exactly.
that. We've
Oh, yeah.
seen that.
Oh, yeah.
But Mr. Lynch, he never cuts back.
No.
He never lets loose. But
He wasn't even going to go to Cancun.
Oh, no, he wasn't. And now he remembers it. Now McGurk is like, is he a bad influence? Or is he just trying to push someone out of their comfort zone? Just a little
That's a
bit.
good question. And of course, obviously, the old bait and switch is the setup is McGurk and Lynch are going to Mexico together. The kind of foreshadowing is they're going to be disrespectful, drunk, whatever, what have you. Your assumption is McGurk is going to be the sloppy one.
Yeah.
Obviously. So that bait and switch of having Lynch be the drunk one, that was so funny to me.
Yeah.
I still love the. He's like, you ask him. Hey, Mexican. Like,
Yeah. So McGurk is like, okay, we got to get you back to the hotel room. You're too drunk. He asks, we got to get directions to the hotel. He asks a native, do you speak English? Can you give us directions? And the guy's no comprende. And so McGurk is like, ask him, Lynch, ask him where our hotel is. And Lynch is all drunk. He's like, where's our hotel? And McGurk's like, no, Lynch, in Spanish. Donde está the hotel we were staying at?
Oh, man.
He's so drunk and he starts speaking Spanish, and then he's just like, the hotel we stayed. I don't know how I feel about the Mr. Lynch McGurk dynamic, because they're clearly not good friends when they're sober, but Mr. Lynch cutting back and having that engagement with McGurk makes me want to see more of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy.
Especially if they're enjoying each other's company.
I don't think McGurk seemed like he was enjoying himself.
No, because now he has to be the one taking care of someone else for a change.
Yeah.
Turn tables.
Yes, a rare turnaround. McGurk is the frustrated one between the two. So that's it. That is season 2, episode 3, Hiatus. I love this episode so
Yeah, it was
much.
really good.
So much fun.
It was a really good episode. I didn't know it was called Hiatus. Okay, so that's the name of the title. So that's how they all come together. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a really great episode.
I
honest to
really
God.
enjoyed it. Do we want to do episode grades first or Jason's grade?
However you guys want to do it.
Okay, I'll do the Jason grade. He was very fun. The opening part with the jazz, too good. Does mommy like what she sees? Does it come in a pair of this?
So good.
Really good.
The fighting, yeah.
The
fighting was
limelight.
great. The jazz was great.
What was the way that Melissa said? Maybe it's an what was it? And then he's like an alternate to good. And
Oh,
yeah,
she said it. Yeah,
alternate.
she said it's alternative. And
Oh,
he's
yes.
like, yeah, alternative to good.
yeah, he had some really good lines, and especially the Dear Diary, I finally found what I'm missing here. Fun. And then when he went later on, he's like, no, enough. It was really good. He did nothing wrong. Nothing bad this entire episode. I enjoyed when he was on screen. I gave him an A.
Let's go!
Jason got his first A, everybody.
Listen,
Put it on the fridge.
he didn't do anything bad except when he yelled at Walter and Perry. But you know what?
He had enough.
He was at his wit's end. He was pooped.
Of course, everyone is allowed to be frustrated at a little point. Everyone gets. I can forgive that. Everyone deserves some from getting.
And they were being a little demanding. Let's be real.
Perry.
Play with us, Jason.
Perry. Play with us, Jason. Play. But they were having a good time. But he did get pooped, and he was tired, and he wanted to go to bed. And I was.
First, Jason.
I was a little worried at the end when he. I was a little worried at the end when he's like, "This sucks," and he walked off. What is going on with everybody? I was like, why is everyone so upset now? I know they're just all burnt out, but Jason he did not want to be there at the end.
No.
Which, fair enough, he's tired. But yeah, good episode.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, mark your calendars, everybody.
Yeah.
I want this to be clear. I'm being objective here. I am not trying to move back.
I swear to God, if you hold a grudge against this poor little boy just because of season 1.
I'm not. I'm being objective.
Okay.
I'm not going to hold a grudge, but season 1 animators, you know what you've done.
That flag animation, though.
That flag animation, though.
Nailed
That
it,
backflip,
Chris.
though.
All right, let's do grades for the episode then.
A. It was really good. I really liked it.
Damn. Adele says A.
A. It made me laugh multiple times.
That's really interesting because me and you are going to differ here because I gave it an A+.
Oh, shit, dude.
We're a unit.
It really did make me laugh so many different
Yeah.
times. And, like, again, the emotions of Arnie being there, I'm not saying every time a character has to be on screen, I have to like them, and they
Right.
can't be a piece of shit, like a la Stephanie. But, like, I am very interested to see how Paula takes this whole thing, and what I am now holding out for. You don't have to tell me if it happens, but if Paula like beats the shit out of Arnie, that'll be my S tier episode. That'll be a fun time for me. You got to build a little heel heat every once in a while to give the audience a spark to boo.
Right, yeah. It's such a good character to hate and laugh with. You know, it's not just hate.
Exactly. And to see not only Brendan listen, you should not get to strike 3 when it comes to like hitting on someone to like try to advance. If you got a strike 1 and a strike 2, you're out. That's it. There is no strike 3.
This is not baseball.
Exactly. You get out of the way. If you are not wanted, you leave.
Yep.
And
Amen. Take notes.
Exactly. So, good on Brendan. I enjoyed Cynthia's character. Dwayne, all of the music.
Oh, we love Dwayne.
The music.
Dwayne's dancing.
Yeah.
I honestly, from the first, like, with the jazz scene alone, I was like, this is an A+ episode.
The jazz was so good, and I don't relate to why they didn't like it. I want that to be my ringtone. It's so good.
It was so good. So
Agreed.
like, and I'm not going to be stingy with these A+ episodes. I'm not going to be. I'm going to put, when I have a good time with an episode and I really like an episode, I'm going to toss it out there. And at the end of this podcast, I think we should do a ranked thing, and then I'll hand out my S tier episodes if we have any. But I gave this episode an A+.
Hell yeah.
Love that.
So this one and the season 1 finale, are those the only two you've given A+s
The
to?
one
Nope.
before the
One
season
before.
finale, he gave an A+.
Episode 12 with Stephanie. I
Yep.
think that was all like. I think that was.
Oh, Law and Border you gave an A+.
Yeah, it was a really
Interesting.
fun episode,
Oh,
just
yeah.
as long as well as the 13th episode was so good. And then this episode, just the jazz, dude, the jazz.
I knew that there was a huge improvement on animation and all that stuff from season 1 to 2. I didn't realize it happens almost immediately. Like, we're 3 episodes in, and just the difference in this show is amazing. Characters are so much more animated. They're emotional. The writing is so good. This episode for me was probably the easiest A I could give out. It's just a rock solid A. I definitely enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it that much to give it an A+. But like I said, easy A all day. I love this episode. We had so much fun watching it. Just you and I, we had so much fun watching it before. And yeah, it was just so much fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, easy A.
I wonder if they had these tools and the flow idea for the original when they went to Adult Swim, but they wanted to keep it true to the beginning of the season. I wonder if that's why it's such a stark difference, because they had all this stuff that they already knew they wanted to take it to this level before season 1 ended.
Right.
Because it is such like a jump in quality.
Just that, like, the way that Brendan's like, ow, ow, ow.
Yes.
Like, just that, the flow, it's so fluid, and just the zoom in on the tonsils. It was almost like, hey, watch this. I feel like that was just, we're going to do some things here, and you're better be, give us an A+.
I remember when I watched this episode for the first time, I was like so happy about the beginning, the jazz. I was so jazzed about the jazz. And immediately after, they're like, that was trash. I was like, oh, do I have bad taste? Because like, that was really good.
No, it was definitely, like I said, something they brought up in the commentary about just the goofiness of production-wise, writing, music, everything. That movie that we saw with the jazz was hands down better than anything they've ever done, ever, period.
Yeah. I just
No
think back
question.
to the Barbarians where they're just hitting each other with
Exactly.
fucking spades.
Melissa's just coming back for a swing.
So the juxtaposition of seeing this, the best thing ever, and then them being like, man, this is trash, I think it's fine. I feel like we had something similar in the Kafka episode because Brendan was like so... like, this project just ain't it. And I'm like, this project is the best thing you've ever done ever.
Absolutely.
So I think it's just kind of the goofiness of kids just not realizing that this is amazing.
Because their taste as children is to, like, laugh and to have fun with it and to, like, do something. They have something different in mind. They don't see how, like, truly special it is. especially Dwayne, like just Dwayne and his, like the choreographer coming through and like actually having a choreographer for the band. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like this episode.
Snaps for Dwayne.
Great episode. Ooh, great episode. Okay. Any last thoughts before we get into plugs?
I love
What?
I was just going to say I love Mr. Lynch and McGurk. Just very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
always.
great buddies. Buddy!
Buddy. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for the episode breakdown. Let's jump into plugs.
Plug it up.
All right, Marcin, why don't you go first?
I'm reaching into my bag of infinite projects here. Currently, I'm working on the sequel to my RPG podcast / audio drama. It is Puzzle Valley, is the first season. When Penny Popular's murder is recorded and sent to everyone through Snapchat, a group of teens uncover the mysteries of Puzzle Valley, the uncertainty of their future, and the secrets of those closest to them. The sequel series we're working on right now with Adele is part of it. It's a prequel set in the year 2000, and it's already looking to be one hell of a high school teen detective story. It might be too early to give away the story for that one, but as for the core of what Puzzle Valley stands for, it's about the masks other people put on us, the weight it carries, and finding the strength to take them off. Puzzle Valley means a lot to me, so if you want to listen to it, you can find it under the Eldritch Journeys banner wherever you find podcasts. Season of the Curse 2 is a home movie about two wannabe YouTubers haunted by Halloween spirits in the form of intrusive thoughts. In order to save themselves, they must go inside their own minds to battle toxic masculinity, misogyny, depression, and self-doubt. Everyone that's in this podcast is helping make that film come to life, including my YouTube brother-in-arms, Punkin' Nonstop, who has over 1,000 videos on his YouTube channel, not a hyperbole. It's got tons of independent musicians who have agreed to let us use music or downright make music from scratch for the film. I'm really excited for it. It's one of the first film projects that I actually really believe in the story, and I believe that a lot of people would benefit from seeing it, and I can't wait to see what people think. And of course, I'm still working on the feature film I started in 2016. It's called The Doorman, and it's really weird, experimental. I started working on it before I even understood how anything in a film works, like genres or anything like that, so I don't really know how to classify it. All I know is that it's going to get done one day, hopefully. But the logline is, when his childhood friends ghost him, our main character is called to the madhouse, where he forgets who he is and becomes prey to the man in the doorway. In order to escape, he must answer who he is, what he wants, and what his favorite color is. So that's a mouthful, but that's all the projects I'm working on.
Hell
yeah.
We did not plan that.
No, we didn't. I think we're a unit at this point.
Hell yeah.
An absolute unit.
So sometimes I paint, sometimes I make things, and sometimes I post that on my Instagram, which is the Artisanal of Oddity. That is Artisanal of Oddity at www.instagram.com. And that's my plug.
And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner Podcast. They were nice enough to donate equipment to us so we could keep this podcast going. So we always want to give them a nice little shout out at the end. The Happy Corner Podcast streams every Sunday at 1:45 Central. And then you can get the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for Season 2, Episode 4, Business and Pleasure. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at Linktree/RHMpod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe, send us an email, or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, thanks again, and please check out Dr. Adam's podcast, The Sister Wives Professor, wherever you get podcasts. Thanks again to Chris Bongat for the use of our theme song, and Shannon Conway for the refresh of our logo. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-host, Marcin, and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.